Welcome, everyone, wherever you are, whether you're listening to us live or watching the replays. This is our Motivational Monday segment. And as always, we're going to have some tips, some inspirations, and some motivation to get you started. Before I give the topic, I'll give a little introduction of myself. I am Teresa Palmer. I'm a holistic cardiology nurse practitioner, or advanced nurse as it's often called. And as a nurse practitioner, holistic and cardiology, what I do is I bridge Eastern traditions, spirituality, metaphysics with the traditional Western medicine cardiology. So what happens is my patients get the best of both worlds, I should say clients, and they're able to pick and choose what resonates with them. I like to say, and I've been known as the nurse who connects individuals to their heart. And in doing so, I connect them not only to themselves, but to their inner power, and they become empowered. And empowerment is so important in every aspect of our lives. It's where we live our best life, and it's where we make our best decisions. And with that said, our topic today is uncertainty. Navigating uncertainty. Are any of you out there feeling uncertain? I think it's difficult not to feel uncertain with the way things are constantly now in flux with the world. And I'm going to have Tiffany, the editor-in-chief of Phoenix Fitness Fanatics and a contributor to own it. And I'm going to have her give you an introduction, and then she could talk about uncertainty because I think she's the queen of uncertainty right now.
Thank you so much, Teresa. And thank everybody for tuning in today. Again, as Teresa mentioned, I am Tiffany Parr. I am editor-in-chief of Phoenix Fanatics magazine, the Phoenix side of the Own It family. I am also a personal trainer and life coach, and also a business and book coach as well. So really anything that you need, I got it. But uncertainty, yes, the queen of uncertainty here for sure. The world right now, we're just filled with uncertainty. But almost a year ago, I sold my house, and my husband and I moved into a trailer because we were waiting for a home to be built. Not sure exactly when the home was going to be ready, very uncertain, because when you're having a home built, regardless of where it is, ours is international, but the freezer. So regardless of where you're building, you never know what can happen. You can have weather issues. You can have material issues. That is, and you also have the uncertainty of just the world. All the different things are changing around us right now, but you can't let that stop you from doing the things that you need to do. I haven't skipped a beat in running my business. It may be a little bit more challenging. Yes, I deal with internet issues and a lot of different things. I'm dealing with that now, right? But I'm still showing up, and that's what you got to. And just able if it's important to you, Teresa, you mentioned that backstage. If something's important to you, you're gonna show up for it. I released over 100 pounds. I showed up for myself. It was hard. My body hurt all the time. I didn't want to have to get up at 4:30 in the morning. But guess what? I did it. And I honestly, I ended up having to get a
we lost Tiffany there for a moment. In the uncertainty, she's also experiencing some internet challenges, and that again is part of uncertainty. But the main point is really to show up, to continue to do what you do. A lot of times in uncertainty, I've heard people say, well, it's too uncertain for me to try to start a business, or it's too uncertain for me to change a profession, or it's too uncertain for me to do this or to that. Oops, I got my own challenges here. One moment. Uncertainty with the earplugs here. Okay, so with uncertainty, it may not always be the time to change your job, to change careers, to move in a different direction. But I think the important thing is that if you really have that desire, like Tiffany was talking about with her business, she has different businesses and it's important to her. So even through, here she comes again, even through the uncertainty, Tiffany is pushing on. She's finding a way around the internet challenges, the way around different challenges that she's facing. So I think that's the most important thing. And I think you also need to discern when is the right time to change something. If you really have a passion to start a business or go a different direction with a career, but you already have a job and you may not be thrilled with it, but during a time of uncertainty, it may be worthwhile for you to stay in the job while pursuing your other desire as more of a hobby or in your spare time. And then again, if you feel strongly about something, a lot of times uncertainty is the time to do something because people need your services at that time. So depending on what either your career is, your profession, what sort of business you have, sometimes during uncertainty, it's even more important because at that point, you need to show up because people are counting on you. And it looks like Tiffany's back here. So I will let her continue. I don't know if you heard, but I was just telling our listeners about, how you're getting through the challenges is sometimes with a business. We may want to do something, but it may not be the time. Oh, there she goes again. So we have to discern. So with that, what I'd also like to talk about is resilience. And I think that's something that we definitely need. I think it's probably the most important. Here she comes again. I think resilience is so important.
I am very resilient.
So I'm going to turn it now over to Tiffany, as it looks like she found a way around her challenges and she pushed on. So Tiffany, why don't you continue with the conversation?
The technology is amazing, okay? And look, I've got a cell phone. So now I've jumped on my cell phone from here because guess what? Yes, when something is important to you and you want to show up, you're going to show up. You're going to do the things that you're passionate about. No excuses. Like I was mentioning, I released a whole lot of weight and I had to show up for myself. I showed up at 4:30 in the morning, getting to the gym every day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6. And it was tough, but I knew what I needed to do. And I knew it was important to me because in my situation, I didn't want to die. I was told, hey, you know what? Your numbers are really high. And if you don't get it right, something can happen to you. So I had a little child. My son, he's now grown, but he was 4.5 years old. I wasn't going to go anywhere. No, I decided to make those changes that I needed to so I could release all that weight and release all that toxicity and everything in my life so I could find the balance that I needed to thrive. And that's really what it's all about, pivoting and finding those ways if it's important.
I think sometimes what you touched on is important because you touched on the fact that you could have died. There is a chance that if you didn't get it right, you could have died. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom and catastrophic here, but a lot of times I work in the medical profession. A lot of times I find that even on times of uncertainty, that what motivates people out of that uncertainty is because something detrimental really could happen to them. If you have somebody facing a serious illness, a lot of times that's a motivation. And sometimes, as terrible as it sounds, but sometimes these things come into our lives because we need to get past them and we need to be showing something. And sometimes that showing comes in a physical challenge. It could come in an emotional challenge, and sometimes it comes within a spiritual challenge. There's pretty much that knock on the head that says, even though this is uncertain, even though you don't know exactly which direction to go, you got to get off your butt. You got to start moving in a direction and then having the resilience to be able to change that direction. Maybe
That's
you
right.
can't go in one direction. Maybe you've got to take a detour. It's no different than going down the highway. If there's an accident in front of you and the road is closed, the road is closed. So you either sit there, and if there's not an exit close by, if the next exit is 12 miles up the road, you may just have to sit there. And
Right.
at that point, there's nothing you could do about that unless you have a helicopter and you could fly over. You have to be content with sitting there. But
Make the
if
best
you,
out of it.
yeah, or if you say, the exit's right there. All I have to do is scoot around a couple of cars. I can get off of this exit. I could use my GPS and find out when I could get back on the highway.
hmm
That's taking action. So
That's right.
there's a time to sit still when you absolutely can't do anything.
Right.
If you're in the middle of some sort of crisis, whether it be medical, physical, spiritual, or emotional, you may just have to sit there and
hmm
deal with what's going on and let it pass. Or
Right.
it may be a situation where you could take some action. So if you'd like to elaborate on that a little bit, Tiffany.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love the analogy too. I mean, sitting on the road, right? You can sit on the road and you can sit there, right? And if you're sitting there, making the best out of it is taking a pen and paper out and writing down some ideas that start, just writing ideas that are coming to your head. Maybe it's a business that you want to start, or maybe it's a book idea or something. If you can't do anything in that moment, you figure out something else to do that is going to, help you to move forward in the future. Sitting there and thinking about, okay, writing down that business idea that you've been thinking about forever, or writing a list of people. Maybe you have a business and you're sitting, we get caught up in life. We're on that hamster wheel, go 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 constantly. So when God, source, universe, whatever you want to call it, when for me it's God, when God sits me down, I know that there's a message there. And that message is usually going to help to push me through something, or it's going to open up another door to something. So yes, you can sit there and you can make the best out of it. Or like Teresa said, get off, and there's always another route. There's always another route. If you're trying to lose weight and you're working out, working out, working out, but yet you're not really seeing too much of a change, you may have to analyze what you're putting in your mouth. Or you may have something going on. Maybe maybe it's some hormonal stuff going on. There's always another way of going about getting to where you need to go. Always.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I always tell my clients that there's always something you could do to help yourself.
hmm
And like you said, sometimes it may be something like sitting down. What are you putting in your mouth if you're not losing weight? Maybe you need to change something else, but there's always something we could do to help ourselves. And a lot of times, I don't think that we realize that
Yeah.
because a lot of times we're conditioned. to look outside of ourselves for the answer. So with a diet, if we're working out, nothing's changing, we may be tempted to sit back and say, well, I'll ask the my healthcare provider, or I'll ask my coach the next time I'm there, my trainer, what's going on, rather than us taking the responsibility for ourselves, because in the end, it's really up to you
Mm-hmm.
to make that change.
Right.
If somebody else could tell you, but if you don't do it and you don't analyze it and you don't say, okay, is that what's best for me?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe upping my exercise isn't working for me. Maybe I need to do this. Okay, I'll take that recommendation into consideration, but I know myself and I'm going to try this instead of doing that first. So I think it too is also our own self-awareness, our self-responsibility. And
Yeah.
even in times of uncertainty, I think a lot of times we kind of throw our hands up and say, well, there's nothing I could do. If
Right.
the world is fighting, what can I do? Well, you could start to be the change that you want to see in the world. You're the one that, by acting with hope, with positive emotions, because don't forget, your heart is the largest electrical system in the body. It reaches 3 feet outside you. So you influence those in close contact with you. So
Mm-hmm.
you could start to be the change that you want to see by saying, I'm not going to get involved with a lot of the polarity, the differences that are going on, or taking
Right.
one side or another. What I'm going to do is talk about hope, talk
Mm-hmm.
about peace, talk about ways that people could come together.
Yeah.
So each of us could do something. And I think that we don't always realize that we kind of have a tendency to either criticize what's going on. The same thing with weight. How many clients I have that have said to me over the years, nothing works for me. I just can't lose weight. It's impossible for me to lose weight. Well, are you jotting down everything that you eat? Oh,
Right.
no, I know that I don't eat anything. It can't possibly be that. Well, would you like to try that? No, I know it's not that. I'm just one of these people that can't lose weight. And that's not true, because unless there's an underlying problem
Mm-hmm.
and you're undergoing an evaluation, everybody can lose weight if they put their mind to it and take
Right.
the action. So Tiffany, what are your thoughts about what I said?
So I love the energy of the heart, and you mentioning that, because yes, I mean, in today's world, there's so much emotion going on right now, and nobody's smiling. Everybody's just, and you want to be the change in that. We need more joy. We need more hope. We need more peace out there. And I make sure every day that I smile, even if I'm in a little bit of a funk myself. I still show up with that joy in my heart and that smile, because I know that's gonna change someone else, and that also changes me, because that gets me out of that funk. That gets me in that joy, that I feel joy, I feel gratitude, and gratitude is everything. I think that if we all just sit and have a little more gratitude for waking up in the morning, gratitude for, our sight, our hearing, our voice, having that, and just really spreading that could spread like wildfire, instead of us having these nasty conversations and throwing mud at each other because of whatever
Yeah.
view you know that they have, and that someone has. No, it's just a view. We're all human, we're all people, and we all need that love, we all need that joy to just be able to live. So yeah, I feel like just spread the joy, you know um and if you don't have anybody around, look, hug yourself sometimes, because that, again, when your heart starts feeling that, anyone around you is going to catch that. And you can be the person to have someone just change, just
Right.
feel that joy. So, yeah.
Right. We are always the change that we want to see in the world. So
Always.
individually, if enough people can be with joy, with happiness, with hope,
Yeah.
that spreads, like you said, like wildfire, because each person that we come in contact with, we have an influence over, and they also have an influence over us.
Right.
And I think too, in this times of uncertainty, I think one of the most important things when you're uncertain about something, you need to listen to different point of views,
Yeah.
or you need to read different things. Say, I'll use the example of losing weight. Say you're trying to lose weight and you're finding it difficult. Well, if you just keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get the same results. So
Mm-hmm.
at that point, you may want to go online and you may want to see what are others doing that are working for them to lose some weight. Where, what is a different point of view that I could get about weight and weight management and losing weight? And as we explore those things, it doesn't mean you have to agree with it. You may say, oh, well, I don't, that doesn't resonate with me to lose weight. I wouldn't get involved with that. That's fine. But the fact that you even were willing to explore it, to
Mm-hmm.
look at it, to find out more about it, then you made a decision. And that was a rational decision because you were able to look at things and say, okay, I like X, Y, and Z. Maybe I'll try X. I'm not going with this thing because I don't like how that was presented by so and so or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's too radical for me to try to lose that weight. So I'm going to be more conservative and I'm going to do this. And I think that's so important in times of uncertainty is to look at point of views, to
Mm-hmm.
look at all the information that's out there on whatever it is, and
Yeah.
then decide for yourself which direction do you want to go and how comfortable are you? And
Yeah.
that means being comfortable with yourself, with having the self awareness, the self confidence, whether it's forging ahead in a business that people are saying, oh my goodness, you're going to start a business when nobody knows if the world's even going to survive for 3 more days. If it's your passion and
Do
if
it.
it feels right to you and you've done your homework, then go
Yes.
ahead and do it. If it doesn't feel right, then don't do it. Anything else that you have to say, Tiffany? We have about 8 minutes here.
Yes. No, just stay educated. Stay educated. And, as you said, like look at all the different points of view, stay educated, and definitely do the things that you're passionate about. And go with your intuition, go with your gut, because that right there, that's your intuition is your superpower. It's going to, when you listen to your gut, that
Mhm.
gut feeling, to not do something, and like think about it. You have that gut feeling to not do it, then you do it anyway. And all of a sudden something bad happens, right? And you're like, oh man, you should listen to your gut, right? Or it's the other side of it, right? Like your gut's got you excited about something. You go for it and you just thrive and you win. And you're like, whoa. You gotta listen to your intuition. You gotta listen to your intuition. Sit,
Mm.
take a moment to be quiet, listen to you, and just do the things that give you joy. Don't do the things that people are telling you need to do or not do. Do what makes you feel joy, but stay educated on it and make sure that it's for you. That's all I got.
Definitely. Definitely. That's so important. You took the words right out of my mouth that it's important to sit, to be with yourself. And oftentimes we get busy to distract ourselves from ourselves. We don't want to sit. We don't want to look at what we think is a challenge. We don't want to look at ourselves, and I shouldn't say scrutinize, it's really just reflecting on where we are, where we want to be, how we want to be. And a lot of times we avoid that because it takes work.
Right.
You always have to do the inner work. And just briefly, I'll touch on there's a lot that's said about manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear that word a lot. And manifestation is really creating something, but you can't create something without doing the inner work. And I think too often we get fooled because there's a lot of promises made out there with advertising, with different things, even different teachers and spiritual teachers that'll sit there and say, well, if you just do what I tell you, or if you just do X, Y, and Z, or if you imagine it and just concentrate on it, it's going to happen. Well, it takes more than that. It takes that inner work. It takes knowing yourself. It takes working with yourself. And that's really the hard part. And that's what we try to avoid. But in order to get past any uncertainty, we have to do the inner work. That goes for everything from any kind of addiction to any kind of weight loss to any kind of career to any kind of personal enhancement, change. It all has to do with we have to do the inner work. And if we don't do the inner work, it's not going to appear like magic. I could dream all I want about having $5 million, but it's not going to happen regardless of how much I visualize it. It may not happen even when I do the hard work, but I have to be willing to do the inner work to find out what do I need to do to get there if that's what I want. So do you have any parting words or how people could reach you, Tiffany?
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, y'all, believe in you because I believe in you. Okay. And if you want to reach me, you can Google Coach Tiffany Parr, Coach Tiffany Williams Parr, or you can text 909-326-0099, or email me at Phoenix Fitness Fanatics Magazine at gmail.com.
Uh, Thank you so much for joining me today. And briefly, the way to get in touch, my last words would be yourself, be still, take a few minutes every day to sit quietly with yourself. And I could be reached right now through Instagram is the easiest at well_being_gal. My website is undergoing some changes. It's being updated, and that's been a bit of a challenge. So that's still not ready. So I don't want to give people the new, it's no longer Well-Being Gal. I don't want to give them the new website name or that. So I would say the best way to reach me right now is just message me either on Facebook at Teresa Palmer or Instagram. And I hope that you enjoyed what we had to say today. I hope that it's motivating and inspirational. And as always, I thank all our subscribers, all our listeners, and go out there and be the very best that you can be. Time to put on the glasses to get the outgoing music here. Thank you, everyone.